Question that comes to my mind is how do you keep building when the world's changing like it is and there's forces against you? Like what is it in a company or an agency's core or an individual's core that says, you know what, this is happening. We're going to adapt. We're going to keep learning. What is that? Is it the passion? What do you see it as?
I'm going to sound really woo-woo, but we're just going to have to go with it. It
Yes.
is. It is so simple, and again, apologies to anyone that's going to be disappointed by this answer. It is just be as useful as you possibly can. Dedicate yourself to being comfortable with the idea of freely giving away information, giving away your time where you might be a little bit worried. You might be like looking at your watch going, oh my God, I've got to go, but be comfortable giving more of yourself than you might be comfortable doing at the moment, because you got a client base of let's say you got a client base of 50, right? And you've got your top 10%, those 5 to 10 clients that absolutely love you, and love everything about you, will not go anywhere ever, and are extremely profitable. Are you asking those clients if they know people who they can refer you to? I would say most agencies are really bad at that. Most freelancers are really bad at that. If you can get good at doing that, you could get 5 new lead opportunities tomorrow. Just asking, and if they don't know if they don't know anyone right now, have they left you a review? Have you written a case study for them? That kind of stuff. Tap into your current client base, and you'd be amazed the growth that's already there.
Hi, I'm Matt Levenhagen, founder of Unified Web Design, UnifiedLabs.ai, and the host of the Builders Podcast. Here on the Builders, our goal is to uncover the first principles behind building businesses, products, and services. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. And if you find value in our content, a like, share, or review is always appreciated. Let's dive in and explore the roots of innovation and progress together. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Michael Kenny. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Oh, thank you for having me, Matt. Great to be here.
We almost didn't make it. We're having so much fun before we hit record. Yeah.
I think we've invented a whole new feature of the podcast going forward. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, we were thinking like maybe, those could be like snippets or something that it's like some kind of parallel thing, just, random conversations.
Yeah,
from builders or something.
I think
about that.
Lots of preamble, but preamble's like the greatest part of a podcast. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I might be alone there. But
and the postamble as well.
Yeah,
a
which
lot of conversations.
Usually involves a few more beers than.
Be kind of like open mic or something. Or,
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so Michael he does not want to be called head of head of anything. That his wife's website says, but he is definitely part of the team over at Digital Gearbox.
That's right.
And he says he has his hand on the wheel a little bit. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Depends on what he has in that bottle he's drinking.
It's the boss is okay with me so far.
Good.
So I must be doing some things right.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, we're having a lot of fun already, but we're going to get serious for a second and we're going to talk about, obviously you guys what do you do over there? PPC mainly. It looks like your whole kind of thing is pay-per-click, advertising, digital marketing. That's your realm, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So established in 2013, based in Oxfordshire in the UK. And since 2013, we've just been focused on providing a best-in-class. Actually, that's a real cliched thing to say. We are Google Ads PPC specialists. So if you are paying a platform to achieve a greater degree of prominence on that platform, and it's got ads as the suffix, that's the kind of service that we provide.
So it goes beyond Google Ads, or you do, Facebook and.
Yeah, I think the reason why I always kind of default to Google Ads is because it's such a large part of our business and our service offering. It's about 85%, a good 85% of our business is Google Ads activation, campaign management. But yeah, we provide services across the paid ad spectrum. So Facebook, Meta ads, so Facebook and Instagram. We also provide services on LinkedIn ads, obviously because that's been a platform massively on the up. And we're getting down with the kids in 2025. Instantly dated this podcast, and we're currently doing a lot of kind of learning and helping our client base navigate TikTok ads, for example. So basically, like I said, anything that had ads afterwards, that's what we do.
That's fun. And and I think it'll be a fun conversation. I do have, just to premise this a little bit as well, with my experience when I started out on the web 20 plus years ago. I actually got into the whole SEO PPC world, and back then we called it AdWords. That was like the king back then. Those wild west days where we can get away with just about anything. And I did that for quite a few years until probably the early 2010s. And so I have a little bit of understanding of how advertising works and all that good stuff. And it's fun. I actually think back, I pivoted in 2012. I think back, like, I decided to pivot to do web design and development for whatever reason, because my reasoning was I enjoy building websites and tinkering with websites. But I could have easily pivoted to creating a PPC agency or something like that around that time, but I didn't. You did. So we're going to talk about what you did. So with that background, the first thing we like to do on this podcast is, especially when you're on for the first time, we want to get to know the guest a little bit more. What your background is, what your origin story is, and how that kind of informs what you do today and how you landed at Digital Gearbox and all that good stuff. So with that, I throw it to you.
I'll do my best. Well, so it's been a long road. I mean, the grey is starting to come through in the beard, which I'm not that bad. I'm not that mad about it. I don't mind a bit of grey. I think it adds a bit of distinction, right?
A little bit coming in.
My story. So I was kind of born and raised into a family of entrepreneurs and essentially self-employed people with grand designs and big ambitions. So there was really no hope. I was pretty much, effed from day one, really. Very, very interesting kind of seeing, being in a family where that feast or famine thing is a very real thing. And, there's always this kind of, be your own boss, be in charge of your own destiny. And it's romanticized quite a lot. But I think not enough people share the realities of a life of, being your own boss and ultimately, in many cases, being responsible for a number of people. It was at the point where my mum and dad it wasn't just their mortgage they were responsible for paying, it was other people's, part of their team. And they had a number of businesses over the years. And where I really kind of came in was around 2004, 2005. So I was very kind of, early teens, basically. And they started up back then, this was like an unheard of thing, but they started a .com business, a drop shipping business, in the erotic, that's what it was.
Okay.
They saw an opportunity to sell very rude things to some, people with desires, and it was sort of drop shipping. So there was a company out there somewhere that they could drop ship. It was in the erotic. I can't remember all of the particulars, but they basically partnered with a company that would be able to fulfill any and all orders for the specific products that they were focusing on, and it was so what they did is they essentially just did a branding exercise, built the technical infrastructure, and I was there literally fly on the wall watching this business be built. And obviously being a child of the 90s, I took particular interest that I was really into tech when I was younger. Sure. I was building websites as early as like 10, 11, in school, kind of playing around with, like, do you remember Google, was it GeoCities and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. I was so fascinated with, how to kind of And from that age, I was like, how can you take something like GeoCities and how can you actually monetize it? How can you promote a business or even sell your products or services through something like that? So, and my parents, are very fortunate that I was raised in quite a liberal household, and my parents, they protected me from some stuff, but they were like, there's some things that it's okay to get you involved in. And they even took me to one of these, they took me to an expo, an industry expo. And it was
fun.
Yeah, for a 13, 14-year-old kid, it was quite, it was quite, I liked it. So that was like my introduction to digital. And from there, finished school, and I actually didn't go into digital straight away. I went into, I had your standard kind of retail jobs and things like that. But eventually I went into sales and I went into real estate. And, I like talking to people, and, I love selling big ticket items, and, selling property is obviously a very attractive thing there. I wasn't very good at it, being honest with you. I don't think sales is like my, and that's why it's probably a good job you didn't introduce me as the head of sales, because
now you're telling me I wasn't that good at it.
I'm not. Yeah. Well, the thing is back then it was like, well, even now, I guess, the prevailing mindset in a lot of kind of sales focused roles is just get the sale. Just get the sale. And you're selling a house, and you take people around the house, and it's like, oh, well, that roof has got a few cracks in it, and they tell you to kind of try and gloss it over and don't draw attention to it. And I wasn't exactly drawing attention to it, but I was like, well, you need to, it's all about giving people the best experience possible and do what you can to defeat that stigma that all salespeople are arseholes and are just going to just do whatever they can to get the sale. So naturally, I didn't last very long.
That's the problem. So that was the problem. You basically were too honest. You could not, even though you might gloss over it a little bit, you still have to there is a crack there. And that probably has a deeper issue. And
I mean, mate, at the risk of sounding naive, if I was in their situation and I was buying and I was about to invest an awful lot of money into something that I was going to live in, wouldn't you want that person to just be upfront and honest?
You would, but unfortunately, the people that are honest aren't the ones making probably the most money.
No, and this is obviously a wider. This is a lot of my early experiences have helped shape me into the person I am, and I'm very proud of the growth of Digital Gearbox and my part in helping with that. But our growth over the years hasn't been. We're not like a rocket ship, flying into the stratosphere. Our growth has been slow, but steady. But also, we've had instances where we've maybe taken a couple of steps back before we can keep moving forward. And our attitude, and it's not just mine, it's shared with Becky, who's the MD, and also Johnny, who heads up our team, is it's all about doing the right thing. And that might cost us in the short term. It might cost us a couple of bucks. But if you do the right thing by the people that you work with, I think that's far more valuable. And if that means that I never live in Buckingham Palace or anything like that, so be it. I'd rather be happy and just do the right thing.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. And having been in business for years myself, and it brings to memory recent events in my agency and stuff where I've made decisions for the good of the team, for the good of respecting ourselves is a big part of it, and making the right decision, regardless of the money we might be leaving on the table.
Yeah, because we all got to sleep at night, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
you got to sleep at night, and you have to. If you love what you do, you don't want to be stressed about something all the time.
No,
and there's certain things that, like, when I, in my business, and I even wrote a guide on this about how to the important kind of pillars of a relationship. And if one of those pillars is either cracking or non-existent, you're going to have trouble. And that could be communication, that could be the relationship itself, some financial aspect of things. But you have to know that, we have to either work on this, or if we can't align on this, then, we're maybe not meant to be together.
Yeah.
So, but but anyway, back to your story. So that's interesting. So so where were we in the 2000s? You went off into real estate, and then how did you get into more and more deeper into internet marketing and PPC and all that?
So it wasn't just a case that I was bad at selling houses. I mean, I was able to make a couple of sales, and the commission was very, very nice.
Yeah.
But this was 2008. Global property financial crash, right? This was not the best time to be in real estate. And I saw some pretty horrendous stuff. People losing their homes, and it's just, you're kind of at the front of that, and you're seeing it. You're on ground zero. It's very difficult. And a lot of people were also, not reacting in the best way to that and getting very stressed. And I had a couple of experiences that were physically violent, which is, that kind of stuff forces you to evaluate.
Who was physically violent?
That's another podcast entirely.
No, are we talking about the people that own the homes that were losing the homes they were getting physically violent, or they just the people?
So I had a situation where I had a knife pressed against my neck, a box cutter was pressed against my neck, because I was basically told to lie about the whereabouts of a homeowner's key set. And I was young, I was 18 at the time, and I could see estate agents being fired left, right, and centre. And I was like, well, I have to do whatever I can to, remain employed and do the right thing. But my morals were being challenged really badly, and I was basically told by my boss, by the owner of this estate agency, to lie. The homeowner comes in, asks if he can have his keys, and I do my job and say, I don't have them, unfortunately. They're actually out on the road at the moment because, so-and-so has a viewing at 4:00. And I am not very good at lying. I have. If you want to extract some money from me, play poker. I'd play poker, but I would lose because I can't bluff. I can't lie. I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that I'm not very good at lying. The guy clearly saw through me. I'm an 18-year-old kid, spotty and sweating because I'm being told to lie. Saw right through it. He came back about 20 minutes later, and there was the box cutter and the threats of violence and things. And
wow.
So naturally, I gave him the keys, and when I told my then boss, I got told off and berated, and that was that for me. That was it. That was the moment where I was like, "It's time to do something else."
Yeah, that's a good wake up call, I think.
Yeah. But in terms of the lessons, trying to extract everything, this taught me a huge thing, because I mean, I've told this story to people before, and they've been like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it happened 15 years ago. I'm all right." But do you regret? People go, "Do you regret doing what you did back then?" I was like, no, I have absolutely no regrets. In fact, if I could go back and do it again, I would do it all over again, as crazy as that sounds, because the experience of then having to tell my boss what had happened, and there being no empathy and more why did you do that? Why did you give him the keys? Because he had a
he's still, even though he told him that, he was just like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's dealing with people like that that's something you learn, like in not to kind of cut you off here, but in business, it's amazing, because I remember when I first really got into a business, it was probably my first really big lessons were in the early 2000s, and I realized there's people you deal with, and it could be a boss, but it could also be partners or other people you're working with and stuff. There's people out there that have zero empathy, and they will cut your throat if it means they're going to make more money, or there's something that they just don't care about you as much as you might be you go into the world thinking no one would do that. Most people are good people. But, yeah.
It's really difficult because I'm a huge slightly off tangent here. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and I choose to kind of extract a lot of the philosophy from Star Trek. This idea that in the future we've overcome our differences and we're more feeling and caring for each other, and we'll get on, right?
Yeah.
And I try as hard as I can to see the best in people, and that has caused me to be a little naive. And I really struggle to accept the fact that people can go about their lives, not just their personal lives, but their professional lives, running on no empathy. I really struggle with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And you can't put yourself in the head. Like, even like my wife will be talking about something or somebody that did something, and she's like, I don't understand how, why you would do something like that. Like, you can't put yourself in somebody's head like that because they're crazy. There's a screw loose. Okay. There's something not wired correctly. And so you're not going to be able to see it like they see the world. And that, I think that's the fact of it. And so you just got to figure out how to deal with those people.
Yeah, but I don't see those people as being necessarily evil. They're just more a product of their environment and their upbringing and their development, because we're all, we're all subjected to different, like I said, I was raised in quite a liberal household where my parents were growing businesses and cared for people and stuff like that. So a lot of that obviously rubbed off on me. But, I don't know how other people were raised and what their origins were. That's
a good point. Yeah.
We're all different, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely. So you decided, so how did you get out of the real estate business? What did you end up doing then?
Well, this is, I went and worked. I just went and tended bars for like about 6 months. Yeah. I mean, I was tired of being suited and booted all the time. I was tired of being yelled at all the time. I was definitely tired of having knives pressed up against my neck. It only happened once. And, I was like an 18, 19-year-old kid, and I was like, I just want to go off and just have a little bit of fun. And, I didn't go to university. I didn't do any further education. The story of that being so ridiculous. But, my dad was quite wealthy, and he always said that he basically left school when he was 15 and he couldn't spell his own name. He was very sickly, didn't go to school very often. And, he always turned around to me and he said, remember, I couldn't spell my name when I left school, and this is what I've built. And in my infinite wisdom as a 16-year-old, I was like, well, I can spell my own name, so I'm going to do all right, I guess.
Yeah, you're already ahead of the game. Yeah.
It's just a ridiculous thing to say. But found out that life wasn't quite that straightforward. But so I didn't go to university, and I kind of wanted that period of time where I could just go off and have a bit of fun. And fun I had. And then just, it's those little tiny moments of serendipity, isn't it? Those sliding door moments. And I was tending bar one night, finishing up, got friendly with a couple of people, and turns out one of them was working for kind of like a performance agency, digital agency. And I don't know, I think alcohol had been consumed. And they say, you're kind of wasted behind the bar. And I was like, well, this is I kind of want my life to be this, really. So I didn't take it that well initially. But eventually I kind of was like, well, I can't do this forever. And it would be nice to get back into something. And I've got these skills. I mean, when I was working in real estate, it wasn't just the sales aspect. I was also helping to market those businesses with listing of the properties online. So that stuff carried over. But I also actually had a big hand in rebranding one of those agencies, a rebrand that I didn't do on any kind of, I didn't do on Photoshop or anything like that, even though I probably could have. I actually rebranded a business using Microsoft Paint.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
You are talented.
I mean, pixel precision was very strange, but it actually worked. And But
I love this, though, because you're learning all these lessons. That's the thing. No matter what you did in your life, there's lessons to draw from that, and that can be applied to something. It's like being in the right place at the right time, or preparation meets opportunity kind of thing.
Yeah, literally, I can extract lessons from everything, because there was the digital aspect, the sales aspect, the branding aspect. Going into the pubs, there was the, how can you provide the best service possible for your patrons, but also just working hard. I've never, because of the household that I was raised in, it was like, well, if you want something, if you want to do well in life, you can't just wait. You have to go and make things happen. And, even at the risk of stepping on some toes and upsetting a couple of people, if that's what it takes, and you can do it in an ethical way, you need to go off and do it. So that's what I did. And, that was my, that sliding door moment gave me an in into an actual paid marketing job in 2010. And that's been it ever since.
Quick pause to give a shout out to the sponsors of the Builders Podcast, Unified Web Design and UnifiedLabs.ai. At Unified Web Design, we specialize in crafting custom websites and offering complete design and development solutions to help businesses build a strong, lasting online presence. Now, through UnifiedLabs.ai, a project I'm really excited about, we're helping businesses tap into the power of AI and automation, designing smarter systems, streamlining operations, and building practical tools that actually work. From audits to implementation, we help brands navigate the AI landscape with clarity and confidence. Whether you need a custom website or you're ready to explore how AI can transform your workflows, visit unifiedwebdesign.com and unifiedlabs.ai. Now back to our show. So 2010, it's fascinating too, like how things align. Like I think back, I bartended in the 90s. So I for many years actually. So I was a bartender. I actually thought I was going to own a bar at one point, and then I got into the business. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. But I met somebody at the bar. There was a patron. They owned an insurance agency. That's how I got, I don't think I've ever talked about this, but that's how I got into insurance for like a decade. There was, we call him Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave. He wasn't an uncle, but everyone called him Uncle Dave for whatever reason. And so Uncle Dave would come in, you'd watch the Packer game, watch our American football, come in, and I'd be there bartending, and we got to know each other and stuff. And then one day I had gone back to school for business, and he learned I'd done this and learned I was kind of looking for something new because I'd been trying to be an artist up to that point. I have a whole story, but anyway, so I bailed on that and was going into business or going to learn more about business. And he's like, I have this agency, you should check out insurance. And next thing I know, I'm working at his agency. We're Allstate Insurance. And then we decided together to start an independent agency, and the rest is history for that decade. Mm-hmm. And, but it's interesting that like, if I never would have been at that bar, or never been at, I'm talking to people, I think it's really just talking to people and then recognizing an opportunity you align with, and then like, that's interesting, and there's people out there that are like, they want to help you. So you should be doing this thing. You shouldn't be doing what you're doing. They care about you.
I would say to any young people, I don't know what your audience demographics are, but if you have young people listening and they're kind of looking, they're a little lost right now, and they're looking for the next direction. If you can legally get in, go to a bar and just talk to the first person that you sit next to, because you will be quite surprised where that conversation or subsequent conversations can lead you. Because I would be very surprised if the stories that we've just shared, those serendipitous moments that have led to greater things, this isn't in a vacuum here.
It's a weird, it's almost like this networking opportunity but you're hanging out and actually loosening up a little bit with some drinks, but it's weird because I was just like sitting here. I'm like, I just recorded another conversation with another guest, and we were talking about bartending. We were talking about it from the context of like, you learn a lot about how to communicate and deal with different types of people and manage problems and stuff, manage people in those environments. And now we're talking about how that can be like, there's a lot that comes out of that, bartending or even probably hospitality in general and stuff. That can be applied later.
Yeah, like waitressing as well. You know, it's obviously, I know you guys stateside. It's the waiters and waitresses there. Like, it's very much kind of tip heavy and that kind of thing. Right. But the skills that are being developed on the job are so valuable. And it'd be interesting to see how many kind of senior members of these top organizations have had origins in some sort of service-based industry.
That would be interesting to see some stats on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So back to the story. So we'll eventually land on. So we actually did, because 2010 you're getting into digital marketing. Did you freelance for a while, and then where did Digital Gearbox come in 2013? How did that?
So Digital Gearbox was founded 2013, but I didn't join until 2016.
Okay.
So I cut my teeth in a professional role at this agency that I joined in 2010. Before,
okay.
I mean, I actually this agency was very much kind of they did so many different things, and my intro wasn't necessarily through marketing; it was more kind of a customer service role actually. So I kind of worked my way in and made the right connections, and eventually the opportunity was given to me to go and work for our digital marketing division. But the interesting, another bit of a segue really was. We were talking about the kind of the skills that you develop when you're working bar. Listening to people is such a big thing when you're tending bar, but also I think that helped shape me as because you have to remember the person that was working in this bar had just come from wearing a suit every single day and having to I had to present myself in a very different way. My time in bars kind of really helped me shed the skin of that persona. And it was actually something that I kind of struggled with when I went back into that kind of white collar environment, because I don't do I don't separate very well. I don't have a separation of a work Michael or a kind of a personal Michael. That doesn't really exist. I know some people can do it, and more to them. But So
you mean like being just like a kind of different personality when you show up to work, or to your business, rather than you're at home hanging out with friends or whatever.
I think that in some professional environments, there's a kind of a performative element to work, and people go and they're not necessarily the people that they would be if you were having a beer with them at the weekend watching the game. It's just like, and again, like I don't. If that works for them, then great. But it just didn't work for me. And another thing that I just really don't do very well is the whole kind of political thing. I just don't have it in me to play that kind of game of currying favor and saying the right thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm not got the stones for it.
I'm not great at that either.
No, and it's and while things started off really well were this agency, but I soon kind of quickly started to kind of push back on this idea that if you wanted to get ahead and rise up and become the golden boy, then you had to do things a certain way, and there were certain kind of etiquettes that you had to perform basically. And I was like, no. Absolutely no. So I mean, I made the decision. I mean, I was there for 6 years, and I've got incredible memories and wonderful people who really helped shape me and kind of.
But again, even though you weren't perfectly fit for that position, you learned a ton in that. I think that's why I always emphasize this. All these people I talk to that have done all these things in the world, like there's even though you didn't. That wasn't your thing, and you maybe even didn't even like it, you learn a lot. Yeah. And you can apply that later. Yeah.
So much that the person that sits before you now talking on this mic I owe so much of what I am now because of those, it wasn't all bad. In fact, most of it was really good. But 2016 comes around and I'm like, I think it's time. There are a couple of things I wanted to, I'd been there 6 years. I think it was time for a change. But I also I got really obsessed with this idea of becoming truly great at one thing. If you have the Bruce Lee quote, don't fear a man that knows 10,000 kicks. Fear the man that knows one kick but has practiced it 10,000 times. And I wanted to be that kind of expert. Not kicking. I don't want to kick people, but
not literally.
But I found an incredible opportunity with Digital Gearbox, which back then was so small, such an upstart, working in this really lovely character building, but very small. And I must have been. I was very much a considered hire because back then I knew what PPC was, but I didn't have any experience. And what I was offering was more where you've got someone that's got a digital marketing foundation. You've got someone that knows how to speak to people. You've got someone that has the dexterity to present themselves in different situations. And you've got someone that's hungry. Take a chance. And take a chance they did. And yeah, I mean, the business as it was back in 2016 is so fundamentally different to how it is now. I mean, the service that we offer is still the same, but as you know, being experienced with Google Ads, Google AdWords as it was back then, it's changed so dramatically over the years.
Yeah.
Incredibly. Yeah.
But we can go there, but yeah, continue your story.
Well, I mean, not only is it changed dramatically in the in the years that you were doing it, in the years that I was doing it from 2016, it's changed in the last 6 weeks. You know, you log into the dashboard and things have been changed, and cheers Google, thanks for that. So it's, but I
keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, but I kind of like that though, because it keeps you honest. Keeps you on your toes. I mean, your experience as a website designer and builder, the techniques are always changing. The fundamentals are always relatively the same, though, aren't they?
Yeah, the process and how you do things.
Yeah.
Overall, yeah, the tools change, the tool sets change. You tweak the process. But yeah. I mean, just to go there for a second, when I started out I was doing pay-per-click when keywords, we use tools. Okay, we developed software. So I had a software. I knew some people that could build software and stuff. So we were doing a lot in the space, and so they would build the tool. I would promote the tool to my community and my members and customers, and as an affiliate. So it was kind of a nice little relationship. But we had a tool. What was it called? Keyword Transformer or something. But it was like this interface where you, and we were promoting a lot of affiliate programs, different merchants, products, and service, and we'd do a little keyword research, but then we'd take that seed keyword and we'd transform it. We'd drop it into a box. It would create thousands of variations of if it was like a phrase or something, just different variations, misspellings. This was when misspellings were a thing. And we would kill it because, I mean, back then you would get like 5-cent clicks or 3-cent clicks and things like that on these obscure things. That changed, but now I tried to do a campaign. I decided there was a little something I was going to try to promote with Google Ads, and I went in there. I'm like, oh, this is way different than I remembered even back in like the early 2010s. It was like nuts. Yeah, so it's fascinating, especially with AI now and everything.
It's the thing is I do envy you, because but also I have to be careful here, because it wasn't necessarily easier, because no one had ever done it before.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, people go, oh, well, it must have been easy back then. No competition. It's like, well, you still had to figure stuff out. You could still do it wrong and waste a lot of money. It's
for
just
sure.
The nature of it's just different now, and you have to kind of work within the confines of the reality of the situation. Everything is more competitive than it used to be. Okay, well, we still need to advertise. We still need to market businesses, right? We still need to advertise businesses. We still need to drive, traffic from people that are likely to buy and engage. So how can we do that? And how can we do that in the best possible way that's going to make sure that there's, we're mitigating wasted spend and we're maximizing the potential for a return on investment. There are still ways, and we have to really, really be careful with how I word this. There are a lot of people that do what I do. There are an awful lot of people that don't do it very well. Part of me hates that, because I have people come up to me all the time saying, Michael, I've wasted loads of money on Google Ads and it sucks and I can't get it to work. So why should I even try? Help. But part of me kind of likes the fact that is the case, that there are people out there that don't do it right, because, well, on one hand, it's difficult for me because so many people are getting burned by people that just aren't getting the right kind of service and they're not choosing the right people very well. It does make my life a bit harder for the people that decide to kind of like tar everyone with the same brush. But that tells me in 2025 that there are still opportunities to do it well. and how, and we don't have. Here's the part where I really disappoint everyone, and people will start questioning why I'm even on this podcast. But we don't have like a magic formula. We don't have any patented technology that makes us better than anyone else. The reason why people choose to work with me is because they're getting me. They're getting me and they're getting my team who, have the values of, well, we're going to do it right and we're going to do it properly. We're not going to cut corners. And we're going to not necessarily baby step you through the process, because people have to get on with their own job. That's why they hire us in the first place. Mm-hmm. But we're going to help you understand it better. We're going to eliminate buzzwords and jargon and all that stuff. We're not going to send you 500-page reports. We're going to help you understand it, because if you can understand it, you can appreciate it, and then you'll probably spend more money to achieve the results that you want. And that's the aim. That's what we do.
So, I mean, it's interesting because I think about it in through the lens of also what I do, right? The web design development. And so much is changing, there's, even in your space, with pay-per-click and advertising, where you think, okay, well, are we going to reach a point where every business owner is going to be able to just push a button and go in and just build out campaigns and make money? Are we going to get to a point where every business owner is going to be able to go in and push a button and build their website, and with maybe a simple prompt? I don't see it playing out like that at all. Number one, I was just thinking about this recently, because I'm obviously I have to adapt and I have to be very conscious of what's going on right now with AI and everything. But I'm like, there's still, like, business owners aren't changing. What people do is their craft and what they're focused on, delivering a product or service or whatever they're doing, isn't changing. They're still focused on that, and they still don't want to build their own website, and they still don't want to do their own advertising. They want to build a relationship with somebody that can help them do those things better. And it really does boil down to the relationship, doesn't it? And I don't think that AI is not replacing that. People want to still deal with humans. They still want somebody, they want to know they can call somebody, or that somebody's at, maybe we're the ones wrangling the AIs and the chatbots and the tools and building that out for them and managing that. Somebody's got to manage the bots and the workflows and automations and all that stuff. But they want to know somebody's still handling it. That's kind of becoming our role. Mm-hmm. So even though all this is changing, you still are building that relationship and the education piece and the communicating what's going on and all that. So
that is absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the commonality between you and me and pretty much everybody else working in the digital marketing space in 2025 is, AI is an inevitable thing. It's already so kind of prevalent. There are a lot of people that aren't using it very well. There are a lot of people that are using it well now, and they're finding ways to really, optimize workflow and look, it's a bit of a kind of a taboo thing to say, but, trimming the fat of their organizations. I think that there are too many businesses that operate with too many unnecessary people and aspects of the business. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's true.
That.
Yeah,
I've had to learn that lesson. Yeah.
But it's, there is always going to be that human side. Those people that embrace the changing times and the emerging technologies and get good at those technologies have a place. But even, for people like me, I'm definitely replaceable in 2025. I'm not actively practicing Google Ads. I've got the team of wonderful people to do that. But my job is that educational side of things, and there's always going to be someone that needs to pull that lever, no matter how good AI gets or automated workflows get. There's always going to be a need for someone to explain it in human to human terms, and to make sure that Skynet is firmly kept in check.
Right. Well, isn't it part of it? Even the educational piece, right? Okay, yeah. A business owner can go out and they can Google and they can go to YouTube or whatever and learn all about AdWords. I won't call it AdWords.
You can call
Google
it AdWords.
ads and
Yeah.
and all they could learn. They could spend hours and hours learning, and but at the same time, there's this also, I would say, a custom approach, bespoke kind of approach to, like, every business is different. So it's going to take a human to have those conversations, ask those questions, and guide somebody in the right direction, even from an ads perspective, and how you build out the ads and the campaigns and the strategies and all that stuff. I mean, the tools are the tools. The AI is the AI, but it can't. It has to know things much deeper, and every business is different. Like you can watch some on YouTube, but what does that apply to? What business? What industry? What, everything's different.
Context. Context is king, isn't it? I mean, take you for example. I mean, so you build websites for your clients. There are technologies out there now. There are solutions out there that you can build a website in one click, and you can go and sit down and have a root beer and watch the Packers game or whatever, right? And it will be done in half an hour. And right now, I guess opinions might differ on the quality of that output right now. I guess it depends on things like how good's the prompt and, how good's the actual technology that you're interfacing with. But it's still questionable. It's still debatable whether that website is really going to be that good. But that is going to continue to improve. So, I mean,
for sure.
They say it all the time, don't they? That today is the worst AI is ever going to be. And I don't know why I went Gandalf there, but hey, but it is going to constantly get better. However, there is still going to be a need for a human sat there writing that prompt out or working with the technology to ensure the best result possible, making sure that context, that crucial bit of context, is reflected in the final product.
Well, right. And so when you were talking about prompt engineering and like actually learning how, because that's how I code now. Like I use Cursor, which is a AI code editor, to help me build landing pages, or do even in WordPress, whether it's a plugin or a theme, or I can still use that for that underlying code and to build stuff. But you have to know how to prompt. You have to know how to, and every business owner and every person on the planet is good or bad at different things. And some people are going to be really good at prompting and they're going to get it. Some people they don't even want to talk. They talk to my wife. Like, it is hilarious. It is hilarious. I'm using this as an example. So if I bring up, so I got an iPhone and I got ChatGPT on there and you get advanced voice, right? Mm. If I bring up, because for me, it's like, it's way easier to just bring up a voice and ask questions and get to the root of a problem rather than typing it all out. But if I bring it up and she starts talking, she's talking in such a natural voice, she will get angry at it and start like, turn it off. I'm like, and then I have to apologize to chat. I'm like, I'm sorry. She doesn't really like chatbots for her, but she's like, I totally understand. And it's a whole thing. But my point is, there's people out there that just are not going to want to, or aren't going to be good at working with AI and all that stuff. So they need people like us that are a little more, tuned to be able to do something like that. Yeah, so that's my story on that.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, how scary is it though that right now, like 6 months ago, the chatbot voice was it was obviously a chatbot voice, right? Now you can hear them breathe, their inflections fluctuate,
they laugh, they giggle a little bit,
they'll put little filler words in. It's crazy. I do think there's always going to be the uncanny valley effect. There's always going to be like a little bit in our primal brains that are like, that's not quite right. But it is getting scary good. Yeah,
but she's okay talking to like Alexa, so she doesn't light up. because it's this kind of straight, play this song for me or do this thing, but don't start. But as soon as they start like actually trying to have a conversation with you, she loses it. But that's the thing. So kind of, back to kind of the business and what you're doing and all that stuff. I mean, this is really like things are changing, and certainly like we're going to be able to do things with a smaller team, or we're not going to have to grow our team any further than it is now. Because we're going to have assistants and stuff, and there's things I can do that I would have had other people do before. And so that's changing. But at the end of the day, in terms of other businesses and, small business owners or whatever, they're going to still want your help and to talk to a human and build that relationship.
Yeah, and to the point of kind of like downsizing and removing the fat and things like that. I mean, obviously, I think the fear might be that the pathway into what we do might be closing or getting harder, and that would be an unfortunate thing. And I think that, I think there's always going to be a future for humans in this space. I don't just choose to believe that because it's my existence on the line here, but I genuinely believe that there's always going to be a need for a human to interface, but also for humans to explain, to help people understand what's going on. And I think for any young people at the moment are going, well, what's the point? I'm just going to get into it and then I'm going to be immediately irreplaceable. I think over the last few years, my role has really kind of changed in the respect that I go out, I champion the business, not just Digital Gearbox, but the techniques in which we employ. Our strategy for the last few years has been, we'll tell you how we do what we do. We'll share with you the processes. There's no paywall. There's no curtain, really, because we don't own anything. Like I said, there's nothing proprietary going on here. It's all freely accessible. We're just, we're doing things that we've learned from other people. I will share that. If people want to come and speak to me and go, well, how did you achieve, an 11x ROAS doing that? I'll go, have you got time? Let me sit down. I'll share it with you. I don't believe in kind of holding that stuff. And if I have the ability to sit with someone, an aspiring entrepreneur who wants to launch their own agency, I would rather tell them how to do it than have them go and not know how to do it and make the mistakes that end up with people getting stitched up. Because then that just makes our lives more difficult. So that's kind of, I mean, and is that potentially dangerous, and is that going to leave us susceptible to being stitched up by people? Yeah, but so be it. Yeah.
So you joined them in 2016, you said, I think.
Yeah.
What's it overarching? Has it been a smooth ride? You said you're growing your approach is to grow slowly.
Yeah.
Not in big spurts or whatever. But has it been a good growth curve, and what has happened in recent years? Do you see it continuing to go in that direction? Because I know a lot of agency owners or communicate with them or hang out with them, whatever, on this podcast and beyond. And there's a number of digital marketing agencies that are really like, worried right now or like are actually impacted by a lot what's going on, whether that's with search and AI coming into search and all that. And there's traffic's down or this and that, and they're trying to figure out what to do with clients. But from your perspective, what you're doing, how does the landscape look right now?
Not great. If I'm being honest with you, it's been in terms of our future prospects. I mean, we've got lots of opportunities still that we're kind of working on, and the pipeline's looking really good. In terms of encouraging people to kind of sign on the line and choose to start working with us, we're finding that a little bit stickier. But it's a bit of a global crisis at the moment.
Right.
But we've navigated those waters before. It's the last, I mean, it'll be 10 years next year. The amount of times I've wanted to just give up and go back to tending bar or something. I've had many moments. And there's a lot of imposter syndrome. I think that's rife in our industry. There are a lot of people that do what we do, but there are also a lot of people that do what we do, and I would say probably better than what we do in certain respects. And I don't think it's defeatist. I think it's just realistic to kind of accept that there are always going to be people out there that are better at what you do. And good luck to them. But all in all, I mean, we've taken a business that was barely turning over, 6 figures, and it's very slow but steady growth. But we turned over £500,000 last year, and we were very proud that we reached that threshold. Could we have reached the million sooner? Absolutely. But I think it would have involved compromising on some of our values and our morals, which myself and Becky and Johnny, the leadership team of Digital Gearbox, were unwilling to do, and we're very much kind of resolute in that. Right now it's difficult, and there are agencies closing left, right, and centre, and it's very, very difficult. We're in the middle of a bit of an existential crisis, and it's widespread.
I just saw somebody too. They're like going back to freelancing.
Yes, it's really hard, and I'm very mindful of that, and I'm thankful for the successes that we have. I mean, we've got just over 50 clients with us at the moment. They're wonderful, the nature of what we do is impermanence is a thing. We will start working with someone, and they either are not getting the results that they need to justify, hence the reason they've hired us, or they're really struggling for time, or a combination of those. And what I really love about my job, and I'm not just saying this as a cope, is my favorite scenario is taking that client from that point, and then over the course of 3 to 5 years, getting them to the point where they've built their business using us. They've hired a chief marketing officer, and then they've gone, we're going to take this in-house. And that happened to us in Q4 last year. Our biggest client decided to take it in-house, and it completely messed up our forecasting for 25. And again, this might sound like a cope to some people, but I truly, Becky, Johnny, and I were like, there was a bit of despairing going, and I said, we need to frame this for what it really is, that we have helped this business, this institution, understand and appreciate what we do to the point that they've invested a ton of money into bringing a team on board. We are a case study for that process, and I'm very proud of that. Has that made things a little bit more difficult than we would like in 2025? Yes. Yeah. That's just the way it is.
I think that reframing is important. Like we lost a contract we'd had for like 4+ years. Simple, small contract, but there was a dedicated resource or developer for that particular company all this time, and we got replaced with AI. They figured out how to do it in house, but I framed them like, what? Can you expect that you're going to work with the same company for the next 25 years? It could happen, I suppose, but we were able to help them get to where they are today and do a lot for them in that time frame. This was our time to help this company and do some great things for them, and they're just moving into a new phase, and so we're going to move out of that, and unfortunately, it messes up our forecast too a little bit, and what's going to happen, but that's business, but I think you have to understand that things are going to come and go and all that. I think one of the things I wanted to kind of land on here, as we're almost at the top of the hour already, because I feel like we could keep talking for hours, is, given all that, and maybe you sort of answered it in there already too, is the question that comes to my mind is how do you keep building when the world's changing like it is, and there's forces against you? Like what is it in a company or an agency's core or an individual's core that says, what, this is happening, we're going to adapt, we're going to keep learning? What is that? Is it the passion? What do you see it as? I'm
going to sound really woo-woo, but we're just going to have to go with it. It is so simple, and again, apologies to anyone that's going to be disappointed by this answer. It is just be as useful as you possibly can. Dedicate yourself to being comfortable with the idea of freely giving away information, giving away your time where you might be a little bit worried. You might be like looking at your watch going, oh my God, I've got to go, but be comfortable giving more of yourself than you might be comfortable doing at the moment. Because we live in this, I hate to say, we live in the world, we live in this society where people are looking for shortcuts. They are time poor, and they're not making the best kind of decisions. They're choosing to work with people that are also time poor, but they're looking to kind of cut those corners as often as they possibly can. So if you're willing to really put in, the work, and you can still work with automated workflows, you can work with AI tools, we are. But if you just work hard and focus on and commit to doing a good job and being as ethically sound as you possibly can, people remember that. They might come, they might go, they might be with you for 6 months, they might be with you for 6 years. It doesn't really matter. Impermanence is a thing. But that will build your business because people will remember they got that service. And that dedication has come from my entire career, but mostly was founded when I was tending bar. Listen to people. Listen to the context. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Like, genuinely be there, present in the moment. They'll remember it. But also, I think another thing that businesses can do that we're really not very good at, ask for stuff. You got a client base of, let's say you got a client base of 50, right? And you've got your top 10%. Those 5 to 10 clients that absolutely love you, and love everything about you, will not go anywhere ever, and are extremely profitable. Are you asking those clients if they know people who they can refer you to? I would say most agencies are really bad at that. Most freelancers are really bad at that. If you can get good at doing that, you could get 5 new lead opportunities tomorrow. Just asking, and if they don't know if they don't know anyone right now, have they left you a review? Have you written a case study for them? That kind of stuff. Tap into your current client base, and you'd be amazed the growth that's already there.
I love that. That's something we're doing right now too. We're have an initiative to touch base with everybody and do those couple things. So
yeah,
that's awesome. That's really a really inspiring thing to land on. I think we did. You inspired me. Yes, be useful. Just keep working hard, and you'll get through it. You got to believe, and especially if you love what you do, and that has to be a thread in there too. But good stuff, Michael. We'll stop this now because otherwise it'll be 2-3 hours, and but it's been really good. We appreciate you sharing your story and being open to sharing it. And I wish you guys success. Until next time.
Thank you for having me. Speak soon.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.